Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Tonight on News 22.
Local Las Cruces students are walking out in support of gun control.
NMSU's men's basketball left today on their way to the NCAA tournament.
And Mike Vigil takes us to a place that was stripped of its beautiful scenery.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Adan Contreras.
And I'm Victoria Valderrama. Students at high schools here in Las Cruces are in sync with other students all over the country.
They joined the nationwide movement today and walked out of class, as News 22's Andrea Vasquez was there for a period of activism.
Hundreds stood quietly at the Las Cruces High School interior courtyard. Quiet for 17 minutes in honor of the 17 students and staff killed 1 month ago at Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. They came armed with signs. Enough. No more. Arms are for hugging.
My opinion on this is just for it all to stop.
After all the shootings and no action, they want lawmakers to finally address gun violence.
It needs to stop. We can't be afraid to go to a place of learning. We need to be able to learn in peace and safety of mind, and that's why we're here. We need to stop it. It needs to be a safe place. Schools need to be safe, and we need to have stricter gun control so we know that we're safe when we're in our schools.
Teacher Sherry Nolan says students should not have to worry about violence, mass shootings, and gun in schools.
As teachers, we can help our students to be safe, but I'm not sure that carrying a gun is the answer.
Even though the courtyard was full, with a student population of more than 1,500, most LCHS students did not participate. And while most of those here were asking for stricter gun control, there were some who said no.
It's people. People kill people. The gun's not going to do anything if the person's not controlling it. The gun control has nothing to do with it, because if it's the person really messed up in the head, they'll do whatever they want.
School Superintendent Greg Ewing has been quoted as saying students will not be punished for walking out, that he wants it considered a curricular activity focused on civics. And while the Student Advisory Council opposed the walkout, Sherry Nolan says she hopes young people will keep their passion.
I hope that there will be change.
I'm Andrea Vasquez with News 22.
Students at Las Cruces High were not the only ones who walked out today. You can see on this map that students from all over Mesilla Valley and the rest of the country walked out of school in support of the students at Parkland High School. Students are trying to push legislators and the rest of the country for gun control laws.
New Mexico Senator Martin Heinrich had some words of support for the students calling for action on gun violence. The shootings in Florida, Aztec, and Las Vegas have really moved Americans, and lawmakers are starting to take notice. In Heinrich's speech, he mentioned that he will continue to fight for solutions to reduce gun violence in the country. The solution to gun violence is not going to happen overnight, but hopefully the right steps are starting to be taken.
It was nice to get some clear skies today.
Yeah, and Andres is next with a first look at weather.
Hi, you guys. Let's take a look at some current conditions today. Today we have some partly cloudy skies with a temperature of 70 degrees. Winds at 9 miles per hour hitting us from the southeast direction. Our humidity sits at 24% and dew point at 33 degrees. Our barometer reads at 29.87 inches. Today we hit a high of 74 degrees, right above our average of 62 degrees, with an overnight low of 49 degrees. 11 years ago in 2007, we hit an all-time high of 84 degrees, and in 1988, we had an all-time low of 23 degrees. Today we saw no rain, so our yearly rainfall sits at 0.59 inches. Well, that's all I have for our current conditions. Back to Victoria and Adon at the desk.
The other big story of the day takes us to the world of athletics.
After a hugely successful regular season and winning the WAC tournament, the Aggies are headed west. News 22's Andres Valle reports on the hope going with them.
The band played as the Aggies walked toward the bus that would take them to El Paso to catch their flight to San Diego. Pistol Pete was there posing for pictures. Little toddlers were in their best Aggie attire. and some even broke out their famous Aggie shoes. The fans are hopeful.
It's an impressive year. You know, I've been watching them since I can remember, and I think this is probably one of the most impressive teams I've seen. I think that they definitely have a chance for the upset this year.
Well, hopefully this time, I think we have a pretty good chance.
That I love them, and all I want them to do is play their best because they're one of the most talented teams out there on the court today.
And the players are anxious to get with it.
I don't know. A lot of people depending on us to feel like it, so like, got a lot to carry.
To face the number 5 seed.
I don't know, it's just another game. I feel like I just got to play like how I've been playing all year.
This is the 6th time in 7 years the Aggies have been to the NCAA tournament, but they've not made it past the first round. This year, there's optimistic talk about getting to the Sweet 16.
We don't matter who we play, we're going to play our hardest and be junkyard dogs, be scrappy, and just try to come out with a win.
Reporting for News 22, this has been Andres Valle.
While the men are headed to San Diego, the women Aggies are headed to Wyoming. The Aggies will be taking on the Wyoming Cowgirls in the first round of the Women's National Invitational Tournament tomorrow night at 6:30. The winner of tomorrow's first round game plays the winner of UC Davis and Idaho in the second round. Good luck to both the men and women. Attention all Aggie fans, the NMSU Alumni Association is hosting an all Aggie March Madness reception that is completely free. All you have to be is an Aggie fan. Starting Friday, March 16th from noon to 1:30 at the Marriott West Lawn in San Diego, there will be free appetizers, a cash bar, and game ticket pickup.
Ready or not, here graduation comes. Students came and strolled around the graduation fair that took place today at the NMSU Barnes & Noble bookstore. Students were able to complete many tasks at the fair, along with reserving their seat, purchasing their diploma frames and graduation shirts, and ordering their necessary graduation accessories such as their caps and gowns. At the fair, students were able to get 10% off all graduation needs.
Looked at each other like, wow, this is it, man. Like, I'm going to see you walk in a couple months, so it's like, it's really cool. We all came in together, and we're all leaving together, and I love that feeling.
Taj is excited about graduation this May and feels like he can really make an impact on the future being part of NMSU. While there was a grad fair in Mexico State for those finishing school, there was another fair for those still attending school. On Tuesday, the Employment Extravaganza Fair took place at the Corbett Center. Students were encouraged to bring multiple copies of their resume to the fair, as some of the biggest employers in the region were there to meet their staffing needs. Jason Fielder from New Mexico Workforce Solutions is there to get students hired.
We're trying to place them with employment, and if they're not ready or if they're not job ready, we're trying to get them job ready by helping them with resume building, interviewing skills, assessments, things of that nature.
Tuesday was the last day of the Employment Extravaganza Fair. Another career fair will come to Corbett Center in April.
New Mexico loves their chili, but for 2017, New Mexico value of chili crop has declined. The total amount of chili planted last year decreased by about 15%, and the value of the crop has dropped to an estimated $44.6 million. Despite an off year for planting, chili is still one of the cornerstone crops of New Mexico. Stay tuned, Andres will be back with your national forecast.
And later, Mike Vigila shows us how New Mexico did a little too well on their weed removal. More on that when News 22 continues.
Hello, I'm Glenn Cerny, recently retired General Manager of KRWG, but I'd like to take this moment to urge you to make sure your pledge is included in our tally during this March membership drive at KRWG. Support the programs you enjoy by calling 888-922-5794 or going online at krwg.org. It's important we hear from you and get the support so we can continue to fulfill the mission here at KRWG. Thank you.
The KRWG-TV public file is available to the public at 2915 McPhee Circle, Milton Hall, room 117, on the campus of New Mexico State University. Regular business hours are from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Files are also available online at stations.fcc.gov.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22 Wednesday,
where news matters.
The City of Las Cruces community cleanup program is complete, but not everyone is happy with how it turned out.
News 22's Mike Vigil takes us to Chandler Tank in Sonoma Ranch, where a group of neighbors just want things to go back to the way they were.
Now that it's bare, it's kind of a little disappointing.
This is Chandler Tank, a 35-acre ponding area off Sonoma Ranch. All the vegetation was scraped off last October.
It was just a normal greenery of the desert landscape, but it was greenery, and it did support the desert landscape.
Now, this entire area used to be covered in weeds and vegetation, and since it's been cleared out, all that's left is rocks, a few shrubs, and a whole lot of dirt.
The city manager says a contractor working on a weed removal project followed orders and removed all the vegetation, and that upset everyone who lives around here.
It made it real dusty, and it made it really subject to erosion.
It looks like a big old empty lot.
Of course, it doesn't help the respiratory situation.
My wife suffers from allergies, so it gotten worse.
The excess dust is a major concern. A bigger concern, the native wildlife is gone.
And that's what the shrubbery did. It provided cover, food, and housing for the wildlife.
And it just happened really quick, and I don't think any one of us had an input on it.
City Manager Stuart Eade launched an internal review of how it happened.
The fact that the community has a really important open space there in that neighborhood. For the neighborhood to go to bed one night and wake up the next day and be surprised and unhappy with the services that we're providing, that's unacceptable.
And now the city's taking charge to reseed the area. It's a project that's costing taxpayers $60,000. But Eade thinks it's a step in the right direction.
Because I want to have quality services, we want to be consistent in our services, and we want to be effective.
And neighbors are just as optimistic.
This takes away from what would normally be a really, really good experience. However, I'm confident that through a lot of the right conversations, we'll be able to move forward in a positive manner.
Eade says Chandler Tank may become a recreation site in the future. Mike Vigil, News 22.
The city manager will hold a meeting to hear from the public about the issue. It's on March 27th at Monte Vista Middle School at 6 p.m. Spring is on the way, and the Confucius Institute is showing how it's celebrated in Chinese culture. The Confucius Institute of NMSU, the Chinese Students and Scholars Association hosted the Lantern Festival at the University Museum. People could learn about Chinese culture and language, make their own lanterns, and taste traditional Chinese food. This festival is celebrated on the 15th day of the Chinese New Year and marks the return of the spring.
I really like for my son to be exposed to different cultures as well, because we are Mexican, so here there's a lot of Mexican culture things that we can explore and learn about, but Chinese is very rare, and it's pretty neat to come and experience it.
This big excavation going on.
The University Museum at NMSU will have more events that share many different foreign cultures.
You might want to sit down for this story. For years, we've been told sitting for too long is bad, which led to the popularity of standing desks at offices.
But now, a new study suggests that standing could be just as harmful to your productivity and health as sitting.
Don't sit at your desk. Don't stand either. Instead, take a walk. That's the advice from researchers who looked into the benefits of the popular standing desk. According to a new study published in the Journal of Ergonomics, standing for too long may be just as harmful to your health as sitting. Here's why. Researchers say standing at your desk for just 2 hours can create discomfort and deteriorating mental reactiveness, which can lead to health issues and impact productivity. The study also found prolonged standing increased back pain and muscle fatigue. The findings run counter to the notion that standing is better than sitting for a prolonged time. That research is what drove companies to market and sell standing desks as a safer alternative to get computer work done at the office. But a review by a healthcare research group of 20 similar studies on alternatives to sitting could not conclusively prove that standing had enough health benefits to undo sitting's damage. So if you can't win if you sit and you can't win if you stand, researchers suggest doing either in moderation.
So springtime is just around the corner, but with that comes tons of allergies.
Right you are, Vicky, and Andres is next with the weather.gov national forecast.
Thanks, Adon. Let's take a look at some weather across the nation, starting at El Paso, where there seems to be slightly hotter than us at 76 degrees. Down in the West Coast, San Francisco seemed to have seen rain today at 55 degrees. And up north, Chicago, Minneapolis, and International Falls are all in the mid-40s. And in our next map, we're going to take a look at how allergies is already coming into effect across the United States. Starting where we are at, located down right there in the corner, we are expecting to see some low levels late April, but other cities and states are expecting to see it more sooner. With that being said, I recommend you guys start stacking up on your allergy medication and Kleenex boxes, as spring and allergy season is coming soon. That's all for our national forecast. Stay tuned for local temperatures right after the break.
Fresh Air with Terry Gross, weekday mornings at 11 on 90.7 FM and streaming live on KRWG.org.
He wasn't just a good player, he was a superstar.
It was us against the world.
He's taking horrible abuse and death threats. He took on everything that we were afraid to face, and he changed the entire country.
Monday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, this is Ben. This is Ben's guitar. Once there was a time when Ben's guitar was hot in more ways than one.
He said that guitar has been stolen. And of course I was sick. I couldn't believe it. I figured somebody'd hawk it if they stole it.
Find out how Ben got his groove back next time on Antiques Roadshow from Spokane, Washington.
Monday at 7 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
Welcome back, you guys. Let's take a look at some local temperatures, starting at Farmington, where they are at 65 degrees. In Santa Fe, they're at 56 degrees. Down in Gallup, they're at 62 degrees. In Albuquerque, right above 64 degrees. And in Clovis, at 62 degrees. In Socorro, right a little higher at 66 degrees. And Ruidoso, down to 56 degrees. Roswell at 67 degrees, Las Cruces at 70 degrees, and in Deming down to 69 degrees. Tomorrow, Farmington should be looking at temperatures at 54 degrees, Santa Fe at 55 degrees, Gallup down to 49 degrees, Albuquerque at 63 degrees, Clovis all the way up at 75 degrees, Socorro down to 69 degrees, Ruidoso 58 degrees, Roswell at 80 degrees, Las Cruces 75 degrees, and Deming 71 degrees. Taking a look more in depth in our neighboring cities, Alamogordo should be expecting partly cloudy skies tonight with an overnight low of 52 degrees. Tomorrow they should be expecting a high of 73 degrees. And in truth or consequences, they should be looking at partly cloudy skies as well with an overnight low of 49 degrees. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a high of 71 degrees. And up in the mountains in Silver City, they should be looking at an overnight low of 42 degrees and tomorrow an expected high of 60 degrees. And in Las Cruces, we should be looking at partly cloudy skies tonight with an overnight low of 49 degrees. Tomorrow, we should be expecting a high of 75 degrees, but mention we are in wind advisory, and I'll detail that more in our 5-day forecast. Well, that's all for our local temperatures. Back to the desk.
Students remembering their school's past while protesting gun laws, students praying for their lost classmates who were killed in a bus crash, and students walking out to remember other people's classmates that were killed in school shootings.
These are the stories that make up today's Southwest Minute.
On Tuesday, students at Columbine High School near Denver joined in the national walkout protest that took over the nation. It was nearly 20 years ago when 2 students entered Columbine and began a shooting spree that killed 13 people inside the school. Today's walkout was a part of a national call to strengthen our nation's gun laws. On Tuesday night, a candlelight vigil was held near Channelview, Texas to remember those killed and injured in a bus crash. They were band members returning from a performance in Orlando, Florida. The bus careened down a 50-foot ravine off of Interstate 10. The driver was killed and several were hurt, one critically. Students at Granada Hills Charter High School in Los Angeles, California, walked out of their classrooms on Wednesday to join the national movement. Students spelled out #Enough on the football field, just one of many walkouts to protest the lack of gun control. This is Ray Gonzalez with the Southwest Minute.
Hopefully Aggies can beat Clemson this Friday.
And Kristen Mastretta has more on that story next with sports.
Thanks, guys. Coming up in sports, the Aggies men's basketball team departs for the NCAA tournament. Don't go too far because News 22 Sports is next.
KRWG's next coffee visit is in Silver City. Join us Thursday morning, April 12th from 9 to 11 at Tranquil Buzz, 112 West Yankee Street, to share your thoughts about public radio, television, and online programming in the region. That's Thursday morning, April 12th from 9 to 11 at Tranquil Buzz in Silver City. We'll see you there. Registering to vote in New Mexico is easy. Forms are available at Department of Motor Vehicles offices and your county clerk's office. And those with a driver's license or other state ID may register to vote online at sos.state.nm.us. You must be 18 years old at the time of the next election. Voting is a responsibility of citizenship. This message brought to you by KRWG.
This is KRWG-TV News 22 Sports.
Welcome back. I'm Krista Mastretta, and let's talk sports. Like we showed you earlier in the newscast, the men's basketball team is on their way to San Diego for the first round of the NCAA tournament. The Aggies have the number 12 seed and will be facing off against the number 5 seed Clemson.
It's more about what we do. It's not about what the other team does. It's about what we do and how we represent ourselves over there. So.
The Aggies will be playing on Friday at 7:57 p.m. Mountain Time. You will be able to catch the game on True TV. The Aggies softball team is back from a tough weekend in Las Vegas. The footage you are watching is from previous games this season. The Aggies lost 4 out of 5 games that they played this past weekend in the Rebel Classic. They started the weekend off with a loss to DePaul, 5-11. The next day they played Portland State and won 11-8. In their next 2 games, they played Washington and lost 1-9 and 2-3. Their final game of the weekend was against UNLV and lost 2-5. The Aggies are looking forward to hosting Minnesota this weekend in a 3-game series. The first game will be on Friday at 6 p.m. at the New Mexico State Softball Complex. The New Mexico State baseball team is back from a 3-game series in Alabama. What you are watching is from previous games. The Aggies lost the series 2-1. They played a doubleheader on Saturday and won the first game but lost the second. The Aggies were looking for a win in the 3rd game and were tied going into the 7th inning, but the Crimson Tide was able to score 3 runs and take the lead. The final score was 5-2. On Friday, the Aggies will start a 4-game series against Maine at the Presley Askew Field. The Battle of I-25 is back tomorrow for men's tennis. The Aggies will take on the Lobos at 10 a.m. at the New Mexico State Tennis Center. New Mexico State is 8-5 overall in the year and 4-0 at home. The Aggies hope to defeat the Lobos to keep their at-home record clean. The Lobos are 7-5 when they are playing away. The Aggies' next match will be on March 24th in Arizona. And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action tomorrow. Still ahead on News 22, Andres will be back to take a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, don't worry if you get stuck in some snow. Boston City workers might be able to get you out of the storm.
He wasn't just a good player, he was a superstar.
It was us against the world.
He's taking horrible abuse and death threats. He took on everything that we were afraid to face, and he changed the entire country.
Monday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
It's a new season of Globe Trekker. See the world like you've never seen it before.
If you track an anaconda, you got to go deep into the jungle.
Globe Tracker.
Saturday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-TV.
Let's take a look at our top stories. High school students around Las Cruces walked out of class as many did around the country in support of gun control. The Aggie basketball team was sent off to San Diego. There were many fun activities this afternoon as the Aggies are hoping to do well in the NCAA tournament. And Mike Vigil told us about one area in Sonoma Ranch that is being cleaned up by the city.
New England's latest winter snowstorm left the region soaked with snow. Many streets were rendered nearly impassable. One Boston police wagon got stuck in a snowbank outside a South Boston bar. That is, until Elsa came to the rescue. Yes, that Elsa from Disney's Frozen. According to People.com, Elsa was actually attorney Jason Triplett dressed as the character. Triplett single-handedly pushed the stranded police wagon out of the snowbank. A video of his heroics quickly went viral, racking up over 1 million views on Facebook. The video's poster added the comment, "Only in the South End." And don't worry about Triplett, clearly the cold never bothered him anyway.
Wow, I wish I would have been there to see that.
I know, that would have been really cool.
So Andres, what's our 5-day forecast look like?
Well, I did mention that wind advisory earlier issued by the National Weather Service. It should be starting around noon and expiring by 8 p.m. Other than that, our temperatures should be getting cooler as we go down along the week and entering our work week.
That sounds great. I can't wait to see that through.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, you can catch all today's aired stories and past newscasts on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News22.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for show updates and the latest on what the News22 team is up to.
And that's all for News22 Wednesday. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Tune in tomorrow as we take a look at news from across the Southwest. I'm Adon Contreras.
And I'm Victoria Valderrama.
I'm Andres Salcedo.
Good night.
Night.
This news brief en español is brought to you by Noticias 22, Spanish language news for southern New Mexico and West Texas. Noticias 22.
Bienvenidos a este breve informativo de Noticias 22. Los saluda Alfredo Nahum. Un hombre se encuentra detenido en la cárcel del condado de Doña Ana por supuestamente haber agredido físicamente a su esposa. Según el reporte oficial, Levi Benítez, de 41 años, se encontraba bajo la influencia del alcohol o de algún tipo de sustancia controlada. El martes por la tarde, la esposa de Benítez lo encontró desmayado en su casa. Cuando Benítez despertó, comenzó a golpear a su esposa con ambas manos. Después de golpearla en múltiples ocasiones, tomó una lámpara y golpeó la cabeza de la mujer. La mujer recibió múltiples laceraciones en la cabeza y se encuentra en el Centro Médico Regional Mountain View. Afortunadamente, no está en riesgo de perder la vida. Benítez permanecerá detenido sin derecho a fianza. Y en noticias deportivas, continuando con el March Madness de baloncesto universitario, el equipo varonil de NMSU salió hoy de Las Cruces con destino a San Diego, California. Los Aggies, con el entrenador Chris Jans a la cabeza, se enfrentarán contra el equipo de la Universidad de Clemson este viernes por la tarde, dentro del torneo de baloncesto de la conferencia NCAA. Fanáticos de los Aggies se reunieron en el Centro Panamericano para manifestar su optimismo y esperanza en que el equipo resulte ganador en este enfrentamiento. Los Aggies resultaron campeones en el torneo de la Conferencia Atlética del Oeste, lo cual les dio pase a la Liga Nacional. Mucho éxito para los Aggies. Para Noticias 22, Alfredo Nahum.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.